And Director Willis, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't see any media physically present, but of course we are being recorded and we are online, and we appreciate the fact that everything we do and say gets memorialized. Next item is the approval of the agenda, and I have one item myself that I would like to add, a new item 11F. Moving the items currently under 16, the reports of committee meetings of the GRF committees that we attend, move them under the consent calendar as new 11F. We, of course, attend the GRF committee meetings. When we report on them, there's nothing that in this meeting can be done or said about those events, so we will move those. With your agreement, we will move those items now under the consent calendar. This is a suggestion that has come from staff as well as from our own realization that we need to make these meetings as efficient as possible. Is that agreeable, Maggie, to move those items in?
I have no objection.
Okay. Any objection to that? All in agreement? Okay, we will now continue to do that meeting after meeting in order to efficientize things. Do I have any objections to meeting minutes of May 14th or May 23rd? Maggie?
I have a teeny-weeny correction, not material. It's page 16 of 24. On page 16 of 24, I wanted to say, it's the bottom paragraph. Director Blackwell made a motion to approve the resolution of the revised just of instead of to. That's all. So.
Okay. Any objections to that correction? Please make it.
Okay.
Otherwise-
There is one other question. Where is it? Let me find it. On the, what was it? It was the committee report. No, it was, what did I tell you?
I'm sorry. Shall we pass on this?
Oh, it was,
The ITAC?
it was the item about the item about a committee stand-in, a stand-in
Oh,
to a
yes,
committee
right. Yeah.
cannot attend
Substitution.
more than 2 times. We never discussed that. I forget where it is now. So I think that shouldn't be here, but I can't find it right now.
Shall we move that to a new business then for a future meeting, Paul? Or Kayla?
Oh, here it is. 11 of 24 on the May 14th minutes.
Right.
Page 11 of 24. On the resolve further, near the bottom of the page, committee member alternates cannot substitute for more than 2 consecutive meetings. I've never seen that before, and I've never heard it discussed. So I'm just wondering where it came from.
I mean, we've been using the same resolutions the past couple years since I've been here. If that's something you want to discuss, we can discuss that another time. I don't know if that's necessary right now with the approval of the minutes.
Yeah, so next time we have that on the agenda, maybe during the next agenda prep meeting, we can discuss removing that verbiage from
Great,
it.
that will be fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Madam Chair, I have something I want to change on the minutes.
Yes, Ellen?
On the May 14th minutes, it says page 3, item number 9. It says VMS Board Update, Director Bravada. And Director Bravada introduced herself and provided her experience as well as made an extensive report for VMS.
Just,
Can you add that?
I've already updated the minutes already on that, so yeah, we don't need to do
Okay.
that today.
Okay.
Okay,
so,
thank you.
so that's been changed.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. With those corrections in mind, do I have approval of the minutes? Any objection? Okay, thank you. Moving on. This morning, I have a couple of things for us looking forward. There are 2 advance notices to share with you, and as usual, I'm talking about facts and figures, money and data and so on. First of all, you got the announcement of the good news about the new insurance policy, our property insurance policy, which will save us $1.1 million in the premium cost. We announced it last week, and of course, it will be an offset to other parts of the 2025 budget that will go up. Afraid there is just no free lunch these days in budgeting. Building maintenance for roofs, for painting, for carpentry, for plumbing and electrical projects, they all have to be tackled. Landscaping services will increase, and reserves have to be beefed up. We all know that. United Manors resales are going quickly, though, often within days of a listing and at record prices. So while we are paying more to maintain, we are seeing when resales occur, almost $380,000 is the average selling price this year, $380,000. It's a very significant increase over the last few years. So your board here commits to choosing the right projects at the right time and the best price to preserve and improve our homes and our investment. It's a big investment, growing investment. Second item on my list is more facts and figures. Each year, about 5% of our manors sell. There's a turnover of about 5% a year. And that means over 10 years, it's 50%. So there'll be, in 10 years period, any 10-year period you want to look at, that means that half of us are new-ish or haven't been here all that long. About 330 units per year sell in just United, and Third has a similar number. That means that we really have to keep pace of who's here, what we want, and what our objectives and priorities are. And to that end, in tomorrow's newsletter that you will get late in the afternoon, there will be a survey. And it's going to be completely online. It consists of 19 questions in the survey about how you view your residency here, what you want in the way of services that United can provide, not GRF, but United. And I would ask you that you click the link in that newsletter and take the survey, please. It's really important so that we know who we are, who's here, and what we want as a community. So tomorrow, please take the survey and give us the facts and the figures that we need to make good decisions. This is a dynamic definition of who we are as a community is changing all the time, obviously with a 5% annual turnover. And we can see that in new neighbors, and we have essentially a chance to look at ourselves right now, which has not been done in decades, as far as I can tell, in United, as far as the survey is concerned. And I appreciate it. Everybody would do it online. Thank you. And with that, we move to open forum. 3 minutes per speaker. Members only may address the Board of Directors regarding items not on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of the board. Board reserves the right to limit time allotted for open forum to 30 minutes total. A member may speak only once during the forum. Speakers may not give their time to other people, no audio or video recordings by attendees, and no rude or threatening comments, please. And members can join by Zoom link or by calling in or by emailing. And I would remind board members, directors here, that we're not going to try to solve problems right now, but we are listening, and problems that might come up will be referred to the proper staff for follow-up. So no instant problem solving today, please, but we want to hear from, who's first, Paul?
Our first speaker is Ms. Chris Collins.
Good morning, Chris Collins, 3306Q. I'm here with an update on the work of the Foundation of Laguna Woods, which we do on behalf of village residents experiencing temporary financial crisis. Together, the Foundation and village clubs can make a difference. The Foundation of Laguna Woods Village welcomes the opportunity to work with village clubs to engage residents in good neighbor activities that will strengthen our sense of shared community. We can make our great neighborhood even greater. Submit a proposal, join with the Foundation, and make a difference in our village. By sponsoring a new activity that reflects and reinforces the spirit of Good Neighbor Day, village clubs can make a difference in strengthening our sense of community, which became somewhat frayed during the pandemic. Foundation funds will help support such group activities that bring residents and neighbors together in a positive way. The extensive network of the village clubs can play a critical role in the effort by hosting new activities in honor of National Good Neighbor Day, which is September 28th, 2024. Neighbors can be any village residents, not just someone who lives near you, but activities must be undertaken in the month of September 2024. Consider how your club can reach out to engage less connected individuals who may benefit from more social interaction. Clubs are invited to consider how to get your neighbor social events, neighbor charity drives, neighbor food exchanges, lunches or dinners provided by neighbors, buddy conversation bench, or regular buddy walks, to name it just a few. The recent Community Builders One Song 300 Voices event in March is a good example of a community-wide good neighbor event. The short application for participating in this effort is at tinyurl.com/LWV Neighbor. Using funds from a special request to encourage participation, the Foundation anticipates that 5 village clubs will be awarded up to $500 each. This outlay of funds can reap great rewards for village residents. So make your club the star of this effort. Only village clubs approved by Recreation can apply. The submission deadline is June 28th, and applications can be submitted to the Foundation of Laguna Woods at comline.com. And if you have questions, you can also send them to the Foundation at comline.com. We look forward to your participation and great ideas. Together, we can all make a difference.
Chris, that's $500 for 5 to 5 clubs?
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, I just want to say that
Yeah, please.
we're so aware that, like most of you, that loneliness is such an issue. And so the Foundation, we've been doing some different things lately, and so this is a new effort to, and so we, at the last board meeting, and Pearl can attest to this because we decided to float this idea, and that, we have no idea whether it would be at all accepted or interesting for people. So we'll see. Evidently, allegedly, there's a few applications that have been submitted, so we'll see.
Very
thank
generous.
you.
Very
Thank you so
generous.
much.
Interesting. Okay, next.
Okay, and the next speaker is Dr. Elizabeth Romano.
Good morning. I want to thank you for your time. Before I get started, I wanted to bring up the fact that we are having a heat problem, and the drop-in lounge is the cooling center, okay? And I'm very concerned that we don't have access to that, and then the ice machine was removed from there, and the chairs that people could sit in and rest were removed from the outside. So I would appreciate whoever, whatever board takes care of that to get people ready for that, and so we don't have heat problems, and maybe in the newspaper an article about how we can watch out and protect ourselves with this heat coming. So I thank you for that. The problem coming up here is operations of this organization without a corporate compliance program, and that's a violation of federal law. That's exclusively the position and the exclusive activity of the CEO, and that leaves us open to liability and open to a lawsuit. My understanding is from the people that I've talked to that that lawsuit is coming, and that's unfortunate. So I thank you for attending to that and seeing what we can do to follow the law. Thank you much. And thank you guys all so much for your time and effort. It's a horrible job that you've taken on, and the people don't thank you. So on behalf of them, thank you so very much to help make this a nice, livable place.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Okay, our next speaker is Mr. John Beckett.
Good morning.
Good morning, John.
2 months ago, we borrowed $6.5 million from United's reserve account. That money must be repaid within 1 year. What is our plan for repaying the reserve account? Borrow money from the property taxes fund. What is our plan for paying our property taxes? Borrow from the reserve fund. Every time our property taxes are due, this board has to borrow from our reserve fund. 2 years ago, we only had to borrow $1 million. Last year, we had to borrow $2 million. And this year, we had to borrow $6.5 million. If we fail to repay that $6.5 million debt on time, then this board must impose a special assessment for the full amount. Here's my question. Is there a way to ensure that the $6.5 million is paid without emptying the property taxes fund every 6 months? Where there's a will, there's a way. The prudent way is to cut spending. Do you have the will to do it?
Thank you, John.
Okay, our next speaker is Ms. Maxine McIntosh.
Good morning, one and all.
Morning, Maxine.
Hope you're enjoying the few days where we get half the sun out anyhow. We're just skipping spring as it usually goes in California. I wanted, first of all, to make a comment about, the village breeze that comes out every 2 months. We're so lucky to have that. I believe Saddleback Hospital still bears the cost of that, don't they? Yes, we're very lucky. None of the money comes out of our assessments for that. And it's a beautiful magazine. It's wonderful to read front to back, and you find a lot of handy information there. Yep. But I was looking back at March and April, where they had the big wanted candidates for directors, like all of you. And I noticed that there were 17 characteristics desirable listed here. I think that was, I'm just very humble in this, but I really think that would scare a lot of people off. It would have the opposite effect. The one that had a bold type word in it, willing and able to allocate time to serve effectively. Well, but it doesn't monopolize your entire life, day in, day out, all year. Sometimes it does for a week or so at a time, I know, but it isn't that bad. And that could have been maybe, just an humble suggestion, a positive statement that it's such wonderful use of your time. I would like to maybe hear more of the joy of running, the joy of being on the board and serving the community. Uses diplomacy. I don't know if you would decide that about yourself or not, or that would come out during the candidate statements. And a lot of this seems to me like this would lead to good questions during candidate statements. Works well with others, that's a good one. You really need to be able to work well with others. Year in, year out, we can find people on the board who have trouble doing that, and we have to find out how to get around it. I think stressing that it's enjoyable, and it's a great way to really learn about your community. and learn where the assessments are set and why and how it's all handled in the office and so forth. So maybe more of the personal growth that the person would have as they learn to contribute and spread that out around the community. And then I wanted to, let's see here. A list like this, much shorter, maybe not 17 of them, maybe about 7 or 8, that it's really a great way, it could be put very positively, to learn the how, the why, and the what of living in United. That might be very helpful. If we were having 12 candidates knocking down the door to get at us, then this would help, I think, thin it down. So, just a suggestion. And I hope that, well, I'm sure you will be explaining eventually to the community what happens when there is a recall on GRF. And I think a lot of people fail to know that the only people that can remove someone from office are the people who elect them to office. And I'm sure you'll take the opportunity to make that clear, that whether you want to recall anyone or not, you have to go to that meeting of the board members, and your vote will be solicited. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maxine.
All right, next speaker is Mr. Joe Fitzcombe.
Good morning. I'm Joe Fitzcamp. I live in 405D. I've lived here about 11 years, about 22 years in senior facilities in my lifetime. Maxine brings up an old memory when they asked questions of candidates. I think it was a candidate that might have been opposite to what the present board was at that time. And so I got a question, it was like 7 parts. And so, you know, when they ask you questions, they go, your 3 minutes are up. When they asked me a question, I said, your 3 minutes are up. You know, it's just what do you do? But I want to, you know, we have hundreds of good employees here. I don't think Sabanna's got anything but 5-star ratings for me from any of the employees that have worked at my home. So I hope that's characteristic for everybody else. I never got a chance, the rest of you want to understand this, but I want to thank her, as I haven't seen her really to do that. But there was, from about 4 years ago, there was someone who was asked to do something that refused to do it. And in an open meeting, I think you probably know about this, you're asked a question to do something, and you may or may not have known that, but you stood up for an answer that was correct and supported your employee. You didn't know you did, but you did. It was a really big deal. You know, with all the employees we probably have over 1,000 volunteers between the clubs and all the organizations we have, and people just help out. That's a really big part. It makes it hard for the boards to find people because there's so many people out there that have an interest, be it a sport or the library or whatever. There's just a lot of volunteers out there. I think ethics is really important. I think in terms of we see our bylaws and we see Davis Sterling and we see operating rules. But once in a while, I think we slip up on the 10 Commandments. I had it was in a meeting not some time back, and it's not as simple as some things that happen. You know, we're all human. We're all vulnerable to politics. We're all vulnerable to misinformation. But in sitting with the president of GRF and the chair of the CAC with the former director of recreation there and a couple other people, we were given information that was about a survey, and that involved tennis. That information was not true. They were negotiating how many tennis tours to do what with. It's not so much that point of that, but not only had something happened earlier, made it watch it, and I was lucky enough to have a CPA with me who was very detail-oriented, and like me, I led to a lot of arrests. He handled a lot of crazy things in his lifetime, too, as a CPA. The numbers, we were told, were 50-50 with a motion. We asked that question. It was a deliberate question. We documented that question, and unfortunately, it wasn't true. In that meeting, and at no time since then, this was quite a while ago, no GRF volunteer or no employee who was in the room at that time has ever corrected that or apologized for that. I did have the CPA approached by that person, from what I was told from him, and there was a member of some of the board there in some way, shape, or form, and I had the same thing happen. That person ran after us to intimidate us at meetings. So I think the CAC probably has some issues, and I hope you can look into those and be aware of it, because I'm not always right, but I'm always honest. So, but it's good seeing some of you again. I knew 5 years ago for all the cancer surgeries. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, our last speaker is Tala Fazali. She's going to be speaking on behalf of her mother.
Do you need her?
No, that's fine.
Thank you. Good morning. My mom doesn't speak English that well, so I'm presenting for her. I'm here actually on behalf of 274 Avenida Sevilla, all units, A, B, C, and D. A little year ago, my family received a letter from Building Fumigation saying that they're going to be coming and fumigating her home, but we had never received any other letter from any other agency. It says here Newport Exterminator and VMS Inspector comes out, but we had never received anything from any of them regarding if there's termites in the home. My parents purchased the home a little less than 2 years ago. We did a full inspection. There was no termites. I understand we're by the beach, so anytime I'm sure we can get termites. But so one of our neighbors had a doctor's note. She had a mental health issue, so they delayed it. May 18th, we got a letter stating that they're going to be coming and fumigating the home in June, June 17th. So, I took it upon myself and got a second inspector to come look, which is Terminex. They came and inspected 3 out of the 4 homes. They concluded there's no termites in the home. I then called Mr. Jonathan, and I let him know that I have all the reports. The 4th person is also getting inspected as well, but I don't have his records with me. I have everybody else's. Anyway, so I called Jonathan. I called the maintenance and construction department. He let me know that it doesn't matter if you get a second opinion. That doesn't matter to us. We're still going to do the fumigation. So that was really concerning. I asked them, can I call Newport Exterminator? Can I get records? And they said that you have no right to get those records. Again, it's very disturbing that as a resident, we can't get records. It makes no sense, right? I mean, here I am getting a second opinion. There's no termites in my home. 3 out of the 4 homes have no termites. So I brought this up to his attention. He said you can present it to the board, and if the board is okay with it, we can delay it. It sounds like they've already delayed it because we got another letter saying it's October. But I just want this to be squashed. If there's no termites, why fumigate? Save you guys money. It sounds like there's enough money being spent, right? $3,000 for fumigation, which I'm sure Newport Exterminator gets a cut of that, correct? So why spend $3,000 on fumigation on my parents' home when there's no termites? It makes no sense. So 11 seconds, sorry. So that was my spiel. If, I know you can't say anything, but I just wanted to at least present this information. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll follow up on this. Thank you very much. Anyone else, Paul? All right, thank you. Responses to past forum speakers, Tony?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you. Be patient with me. I only have one eye, and I tried to rewrite these things, so we'll get through it. It's a long list here. First, we had Chris Collins, 3360Q, who gave us an update on the foundation. And then, of course, we had Maxine McIntosh, and she remarked about the board having the final say when it comes to making decisions. And that's her point is well taken. Then we had James Jones, 267C. He brought staff's attention to a situation that exists in his cul-de-sac number 1, where a vehicle is parked and wrapped in an undesignated parking spot. It looks to be a long-term situation. He believes that there should be another alternative to situations like this for someone who wants to long-term park something. Now, staff, our security director, had his department last week go out and check on this complaint. We went to the cul-de-sac. The vehicle in question was parked per our rules, and therefore there's no permissible, it is permissible by our laws, though his choice of car cover is questionable, but not in violation of any of our rules. We have Cheryl Garcia, 792B, cul-de-sac 93, talked about her neighbor's alteration planter that is causing moisture intrusion into her bathroom shower wall. She asked for assistance in expediting the rebuilding of her bathroom wall and the shower wall. The staff confirms that the planter is an approved alteration, and restoration staff water tested the planter, and as there was no seepage into the unit. However, staff does recommend that the vapor barrier in the mutual wall needs to be replaced. And in the meantime, before her contractor can redo the bathroom, and then she needs to get the proper consent form from the mutual and the proper permits from the city. Mr. John Beckett, a former director who I've had many years work with on boards, he suggested that we make a payment every month to replace the money we've taken out of the reserves. And several directors thanked Mr. Beckett for his suggestion and asked him to attend the budget meeting and become part of the process. Then there's D. Tucker, 252D, talked about the importance of the PC Club to the community. And she indicated moving the PC Club to another location would be detrimental. And one of our sitting directors responded, this issue was discussed and addressed at the May 1st Building E space planning. Then we had Ron Rolick, 630A, cul-de-sac 13. He talked about debris in the master bathroom, and that he reported on December 2022. Then in January 2023, there was a flood and water backup in the master bedroom. But he feels that he should not be billed because of the alteration, of his alteration, due to the maintenance, our maintenance people, I guess, not performing as soon as possible, or not responding as soon as possible. So a director responded that there is a process, an actual process for this. A member hearing. It is the right forum for the member to be present, present evidence when getting the damage restoration bill. Claudia Gray, 428A, cul-de-sac 5. She talked about grass cutting schedule and where she could find or locate the schedule for mowing. Our CEO responded that the cutting mowing schedule can be found on the website under the tab News, and then click on Landscape. Elizabeth Romano, 195C, cul-de-sac 59. She talked about the not getting an FHS loan, and she talked about getting and bringing us to small claims court. Staff responded, compliance says that there is no open harassment issue with this member. And lastly, Nahid Rafi, 195G, cul-de-sac 59. A son-in-law talked on behalf of Mom and about the the damage restoration bill. He talked about their contractor working on this issue, and then they were replaced by staff. It took over the report. The mom was, this is not my word, the mom was ousted from her unit during the report and needed to get permission to get back in. She was unhappy to get a bill for the work done a few years ago. Due to the stress that she experienced, she is asking to waive the bill. And staff's response was, the owner was not permitted inside the unit for her own safety. It had been cross-contaminated with something it doesn't specify, and no entry can be made until the unit was tested and free. A sitting director responded that this issue was already heard during the member hearing, and the committee goes through this issue carefully and thoroughly. The director also reiterated the appeal process that gives the member 30 days after the board decision if they have additional information. And that was not considered during the hearing. In this case, the issue does not qualify for appeal, but the resident can request a meet and confer. That's my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you. At this time, we'll move on to our VMS board report. Is Cynthia Rupert available by Zoom or online?
Yes, I'm going to promote her right now. One second.
Okay. Morning, Cynthia. Please unmute.
Good morning.
Morning.
How is everyone today? Hopefully we'll get some sunshine. Good morning, President Bach and all of the fellow directors on the United Mutual Board. I am Cynthia Rupert, one of the 3 United appointees to the VMS Board. A little background, I've been here almost, over 10 years. My background is in accounting, and I am now serving, I believe, a 3-year term on VMS, or possibly 2. I'd like to start by introducing 2 new members that we have on the VMS board, Jim Glassman and Ruth Johnson. They are both appointees from Third Mutual, and we welcome them to the VMS board. Next, there is a slight change in the VMS board leadership. Diane Phelps is still the president, but now Rosemarie DiLorenzo is the first chair, and Manny Robledo is the second chair. Cynthia Rupert, myself, I resigned as second chair, and Manny replaced me. On May 22nd, the VMS Board of Directors were joined by the VMS management team and each department head in a strategic planning event. I don't want to go into many details because Siobhan will share the plan and go over it in fine-tooth comb as soon as we get it back from the facilitators. I will say that it was very empowering and a very good event, and we hope that it is that good every year. The VMS board has a change in its focus on VMS employees and their satisfaction and retention. The VMS board is now going to turn a very, very sharp eye toward the protection and the empowerment of our employees to provide a satisfactory and healthy workplace environment. Further, the VMS Security Department completed a 2-month pilot program that aims to increase the security staff safety, efficiency. This pilot program allows security personnel to issue traffic violating tickets without actually stopping the vehicle. The tickets were mailed to the offender. Unfortunately, the program was canceled because these observed traffic violations, when the tickets were mailed, the response from many members was that they were not the ones driving the vehicle, or the image was not clear enough to actually show that they were the ones driving. Finally, I'd like to applaud each of you on this board for volunteering. We all know that you share a lot of your time, your experience, your knowledge with us and the community, and I thank you for your time. Any questions?
Anything for Cynthia at this point? Thank you so much, Cynthia, and we are very encouraged to see a fully constituted VMS board now with 2 new members. And Siobhan, over to you.
Thank you, President Bach, honorable members of the board, and our residents. This morning, I'd like to provide an update on key topics in our community. I'm going to start with an update on the Community Services Division. As you know, we lost our long-term manager, Pamela Bashline, to retirement about a week ago. So I would ask you to please join me in congratulating Jeff Spies on his promotion from supervisor to manager of the Community Services Division. Jeff came to VMS in 2022 from Talon Computer Associates Incorporated, where he served as a senior developer and manager for 21 years. Since joining VMS, Jeff quickly grasped the complexities of the village and has provided productive, innovative, and cost-saving solutions to community services. Jeff is approaching his new role with a steady, unwavering eye toward customer service, commitment, and excellence. So again, please join me in welcoming Jeff to his new role, and again, thanking Pamela for her dedicated years of service to the community. I also want to remind residents that village residents may now apply for all full-time VMS open positions. And again, the members of VMS made this change partly due to the difficulty we are having in the post-pandemic job market, attracting quality candidates. If you are interested, visit lagunawoodsvillage.com, scroll to the site's footer, and click on careers to view the open positions, both full and part-time. Nominations are currently open for seats on the United Mutual Board of Directors for the 2024 annual election. There are 4 open positions with terms ending in 2027. The submission deadline is Friday, June 28th. Again, that's Friday, June 28th at 5 p.m. Applications are available from the General Manager's office, located here in the Community Center. Please check in with the Community Center front desk concierge, who will notify the corporate secretaries that you wish to obtain election documents. The 2025 reservation lottery is underway in Recreation. This helps you secure a venue for your special occasions next year. You can get lottery cards in the Recreation office or email recreation@vmsinc.org with a reservation request. The request, you can have 1 event per card or email request, and a limit of 4 cards or requests per club or manor. Space is available in clubhouses 1, 2, 5, and 7, which are open daily from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. The Performing Arts Center is open for limited hours depending on what is scheduled in that facility. Return completed lottery cards and requests to the Recreation office by 5 p.m. on Monday, June 17th. I want to share that in landscaping services, the operational performance review of the Landscaping Services Department is underway. This is being conducted by Monarch Environmental Incorporated, with objectives to identify and report areas of inefficiency and ineffectiveness within the department, pinpoint cost-saving opportunities, and determine ways to enhance resident satisfaction with this key service. Regular updates will be provided at the various landscape committee meetings. And also a reminder that the use of
village technology tools are critical to moving forward in our community and to become more efficient and realize cost savings. Through a partnership with the PC Club, which is located here on the 3rd floor of the community center, they offer a monthly village tech tools training that covers Dwelling Live, the resident portal, the PAC ticket portal, and recreation apps. The next class is offered Wednesday, June 19th at 1 p.m., and you can register on the club's website. I want to conclude with reminders about coyote activity in our community. We've heard some uptick in this activity recently. As you know, coyotes are found everywhere in Orange County. Coyotes don't require open space or wild areas to survive, and they're very comfortable living in close proximity to us and have little fear of humans. There is a great interview with the Laguna Beach Animal Services officer who serves our community. This is on Discovering Laguna Woods Village, hosted by Cindy Whitney. And on the screen before you is the link to that episode. And this during this segment, Officer Pitarella, who serves our village, shares information about coyotes in and out and around the village, tips for walking with or without a dog, and insight into coyote behavior and more. Tips offered by the Animal Control Services officer include protecting yourself by leaving a comfortable distance between you and coyotes. They will display defensive behaviors if threatened or cornered. Increase the distance between you and a coyote if you do encounter one that behaves aggressively. Don't ever feed coyotes. It's illegal both in the state and prohibited here in the village. And eliminate potential water and food sources, fallen fruit, standing water, etc., that might attract the coyotes. To protect pets, tips include do not feed pets outdoors, keep cats and dogs indoors, supervise closely when on walks or on outside patios, do not use retractable leashes for walking dogs, consider investing in a coyote vest designed to buy owners time to get away and interrupt the predator or pickup of a pet, and pick up waste matters as that scent can attract coyotes. For more information and resources, you may visit the Laguna Beach Police Department's Animal Services page on their website. And to report encounters here in the village, please call 949-497-0701 or email coyotes@lagunabeachcity.net. And that concludes my update this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 11, consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are recommended for action by committees and will be enacted by the board in one motion. In the event that an item is removed from the consent calendar, as amended this morning earlier, by members of the board, such items shall be the subject of further discussion and action by the board. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I move.
Second, Nancy, thank you. Any objections? Consent calendar is approved. Okay. Moving on to item 12, unfinished business. We have a number of notifications that are now up for after 28 days of review. And the first one is the policy about financial qualifications. This involves some paper shuffling, but we'll get there.
There we go.
Okay.
Page 35 of 36, it's a pink page. Resolution 0124XX, Financial Qualifications Policy, whereas United Laguna Woods Mutual is formed to provide housing to its members on a nonprofit mutual basis, and whereas it is in the best interests of the corporation to protect and preserve the financial integrity of the corporation, and whereas United desires to clarify that it recognizes Third Mutual's multiple unit owner requirements for members desiring to purchase a unit in United Laguna Woods Mutual when other units are owned in the community. Now therefore be it resolved, June 11th, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby approves the amendments to Section 2, definitions, and Section 3, ownership of multiple memberships of its financial qualification requirements, as attached to the official meeting minutes of this meeting. And resolve further that staff is hereby directed to disseminate this information to the realty company serving Laguna Woods Village. And resolve further that Resolution 01-2154 adopted August 10th, 2021, and Resolution 01-2160 adopted September 14th, 2021, are hereby superseded and canceled. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this corporation. The 28-day notification for member review and comments to comply with Civil Code 4360 has been satisfied.
You move it?
I move this resolution.
Is there a second? It's okay. Any discussion regarding this resolution? Okay. Yes, Sue?
Thank you. I have some questions, and maybe if staff is here, they could answer, or whoever is if this is governing documents, if they would like to respond. I want to understand, please, the requirements. So I think Allison said, if I recall correctly, that the average unit is like $350,000. That's silly.
380?
Yeah. So when you go to page 5 of 36, it says the net worth requirements, and it's. Are you there?
Yeah, these are thirds current multi-unit policy.
Yes. Well, what I'm trying to understand is what the cost is. I think this is going to be important for people to understand, and I'd like to understand it. Unit 1, purchase price for unit plus $125,000. And does that mean that if you buy the unit outright, you still have to have the purchase price of an additional $350,000 plus the
It's
$125,000?
purchase price for one unit plus the $125,000.
So even though it's paid off,
Yes, you
You
just have to have
still-
the assets.
you still have to have the 350?
Just the
It's
125?
Just the
Just
125?
yes.
Okay, so then that would multiply then as it goes down. If you have 2 units, then you have to have 250, 250,000, and so forth. Okay, thank you. I wanted to make sure I understood that.
Okay, thank you. Any other points of discussion on this? Maggie?
I think it's a very good idea here. You cannot use the same pot of money to have multiple units that you need for one unit. So that's what this is covering, and it's a very good idea. It should have been made clear in the past. Thank you.
Okay, ready to vote? All those in favor? Say aye. Okay, opposed to this? Resolution carries. Thank
Are
you.
we voting online, or are we voting by hand, Paul?
We're supposed to vote on the screen, but I'll mark everybody for a yay.
Okay.
No,
Thank you.
I'm a no.
You vote no?
Yeah, I'm a no.
Okay.
Okay, moving on, item B, under unfinished business, approve the subleasing, resales, and membership transfer fees. The 28-day notice was initiated in May, and Maggie, if you would please read the resolution.
Resolution 0124XX, subleasing, resales, and membership transfer fees. Whereas the Community Services Division collects fees when processing resale packages, non-escrow membership transfers, and subleasing and lodger applications, and whereas the processing fees have been in place for several years and are currently included in their associated policies, but have not been officially approved by way of resolutions, and whereas all community services fees established by the board should be identified in one resolution and placed on the website to provide transparency and improve communications, Now therefore be it resolved June 11th, 2024, that the Board of Directors on this corporation hereby ratifies and adopts the following fee schedule related to processing all resale packages, non-escrow membership transfers, and subleasing lodger applications. United Sublease Permit, lodger, room rental fees, administration processing fees, $160, application rush fee, $100, application renewal fee, $160, application extension fee, if the original agreement is less than 12 months, is $60. United resales fee, additional fee for recording of memorandums for cash sales, $280. United Trust transfer fees, membership certificate non-escrow transfer, $50. Recording of memorandums new, $280. Resolved further that Resolution 0113-138 is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolved further that the fee schedule shall be placed on the website, and resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. The 28-day notification for member review and comments to comply with Civil Code 4360 has been satisfied. I move this resolution.
Second? Vicki seconds, okay. Discussion? Okay. We're ready to vote this resolution. All those in favor, say aye. Okay, opposed? None. Motion carries, resolution carries. Next is to approve a revision to Standard 11, exterior doors. May notification period began, and we are now at the moment of confirming this. Would you read that, please, Maggie?
Revised Standard 11, Resolution 0124XX, Revised Standard 11 Doors Exterior. Whereas the United Laguna Woods Mutual recognizes the need to amend standards and create new standards as necessary, and whereas the Mutual recognizes the need to update and clarify the construction methods and materials of all exterior doors, now therefore be it resolved, June 11, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts revision and amendments to Standard 11 Doors Exterior as attached to the official minutes of this meeting, and resolve further Resolution 01-1884, adopted August 14, 2018, is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. The 28-day notification for member review and comments to comply with Civil Code 4360 has been satisfied. I move this resolution.
Is there a second? Nancy, thank you. Discussion? We ready to vote this? All those in favor? Okay, opposed, anyone? Okay, resolution carries. And the next is the maintenance. I guess we could do the disciplinary report is next, or we can do maintenance. I don't know. We don't have Francis here yet, so okay. We'll go out of order then. For some reason, disciplinary report sneaked in there. Let's do the motion to approve revised mutual standards for maintenance and construction committee charter.
All right, this is item 12E, page 9 of 10. Resolution 0124XX, United Maintenance and Construction Committee Charter. Whereas on January 12, 2010, pursuant to Article 7, Sections 1 of the bylaws, the Board of Directors of this corporation established the Maintenance and Construction Committee as a standing committee, and whereas on November 19, 2019, the Board of Directors reviewed and approved of a revised committee charter, and whereas the Maintenance and Construction Committee's charter is periodically revised to reflect the current focus of this standing committee, now therefore be it resolved June 11, 2024, that the committee shall maintain a working relationship with the Maintenance and Construction Department of the Managing Agents Organization to ensure that the real property and fixtures owned and managed by United Laguna Woods Mutual are maintained, reconditioned, improved, or augmented as necessary or desired to meet the policies established by the Board of Directors or as required by government agencies that have a standing in establishing public policy, and reserve further that the committee shall review budget requirements, service levels, all attendant costs, and projected income related to services to be provided by the Maintenance Construction Department, and make necessary recommendations to the Finance Committee and the Board of Directors. And resolve further that the committee shall review on a continuing basis short-term and long-range plans and needs for building and infrastructure maintenance, and in consultation with appropriate committees, recommend to the Board of Directors appropriate means for achieving such plans and needs, and resolve further that the committee shall monitor major operating and reserve maintenance programs such as roofing, asphalt maintenance and replacement, external painting, and the like, and resolve further that the committee shall establish building colors palette and determine primary roof, building, and trim colors for buildings as appropriate, and resolve further that the committee shall perform such other tasks as may be approved and assigned by the Board of Directors, and resolve further that Resolution 01-1986, adopted November 12, 2019, is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move this resolution.
Is there a second? Mickey, as a member of the committee, okay. Discussion, Tony?
I do have a question.
Madam
Yes.
Chair?
Yeah,
I'd like to know what's so deficient about the previous resolution that it needs to be replaced? I'd like to understand that, please.
The change in this is the removal of the reference to the occupancy agreement. Now, I don't know why that needed to be done or what the purpose is, so that was my question.
Unfortunately, Manuel is not here today. He's out ill. He was the author of the revision, the staff report on revision of this particular document. So, Siobhan, did you want to comment on this?
My understanding is that this was just part of routine review of charters and updating to bring them current. That's the extent of my.
It's on page 7 of 10. 12E, 7 of 10, the first paragraph. Let's see. Pursuant to the occupancy agreement, Article 12. Is there, well, let me see, I have.
Yeah, it's the second paragraph.
Well, I have the occupancy agreement here. What section does it say, 12?
Well, that section refers to the fact that at one time, the architectural standard, control and standards was part of M&C, and it was spun off as a separate committee. So this is a cleanup of the charter.
And it was reviewed at the committee. It was unanimously approved, so it's moving forward for board approval.
Do we still have to follow Article 12, alterations and additions in the occupancy agreement?
Maggie, I don't know the details of this. Again, I believe Allison is chair of the MNC
Yeah.
committee. She can best answer your questions.
Okay.
Yeah, the charter was reviewed. It was essentially modernized. It took out some of the antiquated language that had been subsequently found to be no longer the way we were operating. For example, the spin-off of architectural controls and standards is a separate group, and some of these things are just kind of cleanups of old-fashioned language that points us more in the direction of how the committee is functioning today. And there's not a lot that's new, but obviously
Chair.
things like the unbudgeted components, that goes to finance and so on. So
Madam
it's a
Chair.
modernization, it's an update, and it's a cleanup. Ellen?
Yes, I'm on the committee, and I did approve this, but I noticed that what is crossed out on the page 8 of 10, the committee will consult with managing agent regarding award of contracts. I didn't see that in the resolution, and I'd like to have something included regarding that.
Can you say more about that? What
This
is your
is about
concern?
contracts and awarding contracts, and
Right.
and I think it might have something to do with the bid process. So I would like to see something like that in the resolution for the charter, And this is on page 8 of 10, of the top paragraph that was deleted. I would like to see something in here about that we could ask for bids. We've seen some bids in the last month, and I'd like to be able to keep that in here.
You don't feel that it is covered under the resolution, review budget requirements, service levels, all attendant costs and projected, et cetera, et cetera. That does not cover it in your mind?
Not in my mind, no.
And it's a normal course of action to share the bid results with the committee, so that wouldn't change based on the revised resolution. And Ian Barnett is on Zoom if there are particular questions for the MNC department, Allison.
Okay. Nancy?
I'm also on governing documents, and one of the key things that, in general, we've been looking at, all the committees, are the charters. And in governing documents, the same thing, we're looking at a lot of things, and I think I raised this about 4 years ago. We needed to get to have less cumbersome documents. So in a nutshell, that's how I would describe this. I think this moves to it. To address Ellen's question, I do believe that the current language does cover it because process also covers what can and can't be done. So I think it's handled, as Siobhan was saying.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Maggie?
Yes. Which paragraph on the pink page lays the burden of alterations, fixtures, or improvements installed by the member shall be repaired or maintained by the member at its own expense and in a manner satisfactory to the corporation?
Well, that would be in the occupancy agreement, rather than
Well,
in the
that's what I'm
maintenance
saying.
and committee, charter of this committee. And so that's an appropriate move. We do in the first resolution that we maintain working relationship to ensure that the real property and fixtures owned and managed by Laguna Woods Mutual are maintained, reconditioned, and so on. So we are looking at what we do own and what we are responsible for maintaining. And in the occupancy agreement, new owners or owners would be acknowledging their responsibility in that document.
That is, okay, so we're not, doing anything with the occupancy agreement. That is
No.
still in effect, but this is just clearly United's responsibility.
Right, we're defining the role of the committee.
I've got it.
Right.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
I would like to
Michaela?
say Ian Barnett is on Zoom to answer any questions that you
Okay.
guys have for him.
All right. Anything for Ian while we have him? If we are done with this discussion, I'd like to call the vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand, say aye. Okay, opposed? Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. Motion passes, resolution passes. And, let's see. There is a disciplinary report in here, an update, and Francis is here. Good, thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Francis.
Okay, so before you is agenda item 12B, the disciplinary update report. The table in the document is the breakdown of disciplinary cases for the month of March to May of this year. We started the month with 369 cases and ended the month with 354 cases. The noteworthy categories are for clutter overall has decreased. Very specifically, the copper clutter violations have decreased. We have also decreased in the maintenance violations, and this has to do with your moisture intrusion events and so forth. And then the nuisance category has also gone down slightly. That concludes my report, short and sweet. So I'm available for questions if the board has any.
Okay. Questions, comments? Nancy?
I'd like to comment. Peculiarly, I've had a couple reports in the last month from residents who've said that there have been Airbnb sort of situations are arising again. And it would seem, I'm not sure, I guess the CEO could put it in her newsletter or something. And Allison in her e-blast too is to give a strict warning. But what was peculiar in this instance, both of them said that they somehow were set up through realtors, the realtors that suggest this. Now again, there's a lot of nuances in how you can rent a place, lease a place, do all these various issues, and if you own it or you bought the unit to use as a rental property, I know all that comes into play. But I think it's one of these situations, it's kind of like coyote warning, that we have to do it periodically.
No. Mickey?
Yeah, one increased number, I can see the illegal occupancy. I'm wondering if there's any kind of relationship with those kind of A and B type of situation, or is there any particular the reason or the aspect why this has been increasing? I mean, it could be just random, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, we haven't seen anything specifically that would indicate it's Airbnb or anything outside of the norm. We most definitely look at it. Airbnb is just a short-term rental that you do allow. However, you have to go through the process. So anybody here less than 30 days can be a guest, but the approved resident needs to reside in the unit. They can't be there by themselves without going through the approval process. We used to, a couple years ago, when this board was very aggressive with short-term rentals, staff actively and proactively went into the Airbnb's VRMO or the vacation rental websites to pull up anybody who was within the community that didn't have a specific requirements or guidelines advising potential renters or potential renters of the approval process. So I'll make a note of it and we'll start working on that front of it, and then we'll keep it in mind to see if we'll, maybe now that it's been out there and we're talking about it, there's going to be an uptake on that piece of it through the illegal occupancies.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Tony?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to, just for information, like to know with that 31 delinquencies, what kind of money are we talking about there that we're out?
So this is anything with outstanding chargeable services and outstanding assessments. So every month, as part of your finance committee meeting in closed session, you get a delinquent report. That delinquent report, a copy of it goes to the compliance division, and that's our trigger point to start sending disciplinary notices to these residents to get them to either pay the outstanding balance or go to a payment plan, or if those are not satisfied, then we bring them before the committee as a hearing, and then the committee has the authority to suspend their services, cable services, and access to the GRF facilities.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is
Tony,
is that a big number now, right now, money-wise?
I don't know at the top of my head the money aspect of it or the number of it. I would recommend if you have the Finance Committee delinquency report, they do have a total at the bottom, but I could also get you that number directly if you wish.
Thank you.
usually it's a pretty small number, and often it's just temporary. Somebody's out of town, lost a check. It's a variety of small-ish items. You know the big ones from closed session that are out of estates or something, where we're waiting for a sale to occur. So, Tom, you had a question?
Yeah, I have two questions for you. For instance, on the illegal occupancy, are those just open cases or are they verified illegal occupancy cases?
They are open, verified, illegal occupancy cases.
So they are totally verified already? Okay. And are most illegal occupancy reports first generated from members? Is that
Yes.
how you find out about them?
Yes, from the neighboring units specifically.
Ellen, you had
Yes.
something?
Regarding the illegal occupancy, is some of them where a member died and somebody is occupying the unit? Is that part of it?
That would be part of this. There's definitely very specific parameters when someone has died and there's someone still residing there. So we would look at that before considering any illegal occupancy. But that amount, that would be part of this number, yes.
Okay. And so if someone dies, then how do you start the process? That you don't always know when somebody dies, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. We are, the compliance division looks at the database that's but it's maintained by the Community Services Department. They're the department that gets notified when someone passes away. If they see that there is individuals that should not continue living there after the death of the resident, then they will notify us and we will request an inspection. We have the inspectors that could go out there and do an occupancy check, and then we will start the process if needed. We definitely give the resident time to kind of go through the grievance process and then go through any estate or any trust issues. We give them time to comply on that aspect before we escalate it to a hearing or to come before your committee.
Okay, so then they pay the monthly fee, the assessment, and you wouldn't know about it unless somebody asked you to do what, a well check, or how do they do that?
It would be a report.
Okay.
So if they're aware, like if a neighbor is aware that the resident passed away and that there's still individuals there, we'll most likely get a report. And so that's where what I just explained, we'll look at the database, we'll see what information we do have, what information staff has already received, and then we'll do an occupancy check.
Okay.
So the welfare check was only like when there's an immediate need to ascertain who's in the unit. Otherwise, it's just a routine occupancy check.
Okay. One more question. Abandoned vehicles, are those also vehicles in a carport?
For the most part, no. For the most part, abandoned vehicles are vehicles that are outside in the cul-de-sacs.
Okay.
A vehicle in your carport is only considered abandoned if it's a long length of time, because one, it's your private carport, and then two, you do have specific requirements like a 21-day. But if the resident calls security to let them know that there's going to be a long stay or a long extended period away from the unit, then that's documented, which we have access to.
What about the tags, if the tags are expired?
If the tags are expired, then it's considered abandoned per your traffic rules. So we would document that.
Also, the flat tires and the smashed in
Yes.
windows. If
The
clear
debris.
auto is inoperable. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, something to,
We do have a member comment when you have a chance.
okay, Maggie was next, I believe.
I forget.
Okay. Go ahead, Paul.
No, I can't remember what I was asking. Thanks.
We have Dick Rader.
Okay. Go ahead, Dick. Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, Francis.
Hi, good morning.
I have two questions. The first is, if you look at all of the disciplinary cases that occurred in March, are they all completed in March, or are some carried over until completion? In other words, they also show up in the April numbers.
The answer is yes, they are carried over, and some of them do show up in your April and May numbers.
That's the reason why I asked the question, because it depends on how many are being carried over, but without eliminating those, you have no idea of trends, if you see what I'm saying. Because if you have carryovers, you're recording them twice or three times until they get satisfied. So my recommendation, unless you have, it's only a small number, that there ought to be a column that shows just the new cases. That way you would know trends. My second question is this. It was reported earlier that security no longer will not stop somebody, but issue a ticket without stopping a car. And they stopped doing that apparently because the resident claimed, well, I wasn't driving the car. My understanding, and help me out, you would know better, that whatever happens
Dick.
Is the responsibility of the resident, especially if it's their car. I'm responsible if Sears, as I understand it, comes in, goes through a stop sign, and they don't pay, I'm responsible. Same thing if somebody's driving a car, not driving a car, but it's their car. Isn't the resident responsible for if there's a ticket?
Dick.
Go ahead, Maggie.
Dick, that is a GRF issue for Security Access Committee.
Well, I wonder if we could just get a quick answer.
United has nothing to do with
GRF
that.
security, Dick. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else for Francis at this point? Thank you very much. We're really a well-behaved community when you think of 6,323 people or manners here and only 350 cases, rolling cases, at any given time. That's super. Thank you, Francis.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to new business. Town halls, we have one coming up this Friday. Ellen and Georgiana, would you like to tell us what's coming up? We've seen you on television. You're live and in person here.
Yeah, I'll take the lead, and then Georgiana can follow.
Go ahead.
We're having an interactive conglomeration of, we'll have some of our chairs. We'll have Sue Kwam, Vice President, Pearl Lee, Vice President, and Mickey Choi, Treasurer. They will be talking about financial reserves, about services needed, which will be landscape, or services provided, and then we'll be ending the town hall regarding how to protect your property values. So if you come to the town hall, you'll be able to know how we suggest to protect your property values. So.
Okay. All right, Georgiana?
Yes, the meeting will be Friday from 2 till 3:30. And so the talking part will probably be about 45 minutes, and then we'll be open to questions and interaction and talk about the various issues that you might want to look at.
Okay. So this Friday, 2 o'clock in the Performing Arts Center. So please try to attend. And of course, Q&A to follow the presentations. Okay, new business, a motion to approve rescission of to Standard 26 solarium and garden rooms. This is the onset of the 28-day notification process. This is 13B.
This is page 11 of 12. It's pink. Resolution 0124XX, rescind Standard 26 solariums and garden rooms. Whereas the United Laguna Woods Mutual recognizes the need to review standards as necessary, and whereas the Mutual recently revised the language in Standard 39 balcony, and patio enclosures to incorporate identical processes currently contained in Standard 26 solariums and garden rooms. And whereas the aforementioned integration of procedures would create a duplication of information, the mutual recognizes the need to rescind Standard 26 solariums and garden rooms. Now therefore be it resolved on July 9th, 2024, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby rescinds Standard 26 solariums and garden rooms as attached to the official minutes of this meeting, and resolve further that Resolution U-02-110, adopted August 13, 2002, is hereby canceled, and resolve further that officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. This is the initial notification. It will be sent out for 28 days and come back to comply with Civil Code 4360. I move this resolution.
Second? Tony? Are you seconding the resolution? The motion? Yes? Okay. All right. Discussion? This is a simple cleanup. Okay. Anyone else? Nancy?
This may be technical, but I'm looking at page 5 of 12 on 13B, item 1.2. The member is solely responsible for the maintenance and repair of all alterations to the building. Removal may be required upon sale of the manor or deterioration of the alteration. Now, in member hearings, we sometimes find circumstances where something has to be removed prior to the time of sale because of a circumstance. So as I said, this is a technical thing. I don't know that we necessarily need to resolve this here, but I want to bring it to the attention of corporate staff to take a look at that, just if that language should be adjusted to, since we're reviewing charters, et cetera.
Alan Grimshaw is here. Alan, has this provision been worked into the other revision? To the language in 39, standard 39?
Yeah, I could see where it might not be something someone's thinking top of mind, but it does happen that before sale that this can be required.
It does, and it is in the existing revision.
Okay. So this is, what is this?
We're rescinding.
Covered.
This is what we're rescinding.
Okay, got it. Just
Okay.
I want to be sure about that. Good, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay, we can proceed with voting. Those in favor? I guess we are, okay, approve? I guess, yeah, okay, now we're on line now. Thank you. Okay. Who hasn't voted? Tony? Okay, we're voting online. Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. And next we have awnings.
Tony, is on there. Do we have 11?
Okay.
Okay, unanimous. Thank you.
All right. And next. Standard 24 awnings. Entertain a motion to approve revision of Standard 24 awnings. This is the start of the 28-day period.
Resolution 0124XX, revised Standard 34, patio and balcony awnings. Whereas the United Laguna Woods Mutual recognizes the need to amend standards and create new standards as necessary, and whereas the Mutual recognized the need to revise Standard 34 awnings, now therefore be it resolved, July 9th, 2024, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts revisions and amendments to Standard 34 patio and balcony awnings as attached to the official minutes of the meeting, and resolve further resolution 0113-140, adopted August 13, 2013, is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I move this resolution to be heard, discussed, postponed to the next available board meeting no less than 28 days, according to Civil Code 4360. I move this motion.
Second? Lydia, second, thank you. Okay, discussion about this? Very clear, very concise definition of what kind of awnings are allowed over patio and balcony. Important, we have a lot of them, so anyone doing an alteration would be very keen to read this and know exactly what they may and may not do. Not hearing any questions, we are ready to vote. Please vote on screen. Okay, who's missing?
Director Kale?
Lydia?
Okay.
And the traffic hearing is set for next week. Is that what you're?
No, you're supposed to be voting on the screen.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Your vote on the screen?
Oh, I'm sorry. I just,
Here we go.
Okay.
I thought I did it.
Okay, looks like
Okay,
that.
sorry.
That does carry. Okay.
Sorry.
Next is item for discussion, and that is to form a 90-day ad hoc committee. We are under 13D.
13.
And I believe, because we do not have a report on this, Tony, this is one that you are heading up.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd be glad to give a little spiel on it. I'm asking, presenting an argument to the board to establish an ad hoc committee for discovering revenue sources. And I'll keep it simple. In search of revenue sources to augment, and in that sense to mitigate and alleviate the affordability issues of Laguna Woods as an alternative option for seniors. With this theme as its mandate, this committee will report back to the full board with the results of their work after 90 days of its initial or inaugural meeting. We throw the word fiduciary around, but we are lacking in some cases in application. A fiduciary is a person, persons, or organization that acts on behalf of another person or persons, putting their client's interest ahead of their own, with a duty to preserve good faith and trust. This role of fiduciary should be the driver of this ad hoc committee, and it has only 90 days from its initial meeting to submit to the full board the results of their work. Now, incidentals along with this, since there is a lot to cover in 90 days, I recommend that the board give it 4 directors, with the caveat that in line with our bylaws, advisors cannot outnumber the directors. Notwithstanding budget allocations, the committee should have have the staff to assist with housekeeping rules, minutes, meetings, dates and times, and so forth. So in closing, I urge the board, this board, to mandate an ad hoc committee to investigate and research revenue sources which will exemplify our duties as fiduciaries. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, discussion? Maggie?
Is there going to be any direction or any charter or anything for this ad hoc committee? Can you come up with that in the next?
What's that? I didn't hear that.
A charter, we would.
A charter?
committees
Yeah, I
charters.
have one.
But you did not submit it to us.
Well, I can submit it. I just thought, I want to hear if the board's in favor of it, because we have a 28-day, right?
Oh,
No, we're not at that point yet. I think at this point, we need to, if the board would like to have a discussion on this, we may do this. If you would rather do it this afternoon in closed session, we can talk about it then.
It makes no mind. It's just an idea, since we're always haggling about money and
Right,
money issues.
Right.
I like to pursue it. And I don't like the word charter. Nowhere in David Sterling or in Robert's Rules does it use the word charter when it talks about committees. I like the Latin word mandare.
Yeah. Well, the
Give a
same
command or an order.
instructions.
Here's your directions. Go do this and report back to me.
That's right. Well, that is.
So
what-
the incidentals here, it's 4 directors, and I have, I think that the committee, I've identified some areas that we could investigate, and I don't know if you want a charter or a mandate, and that, I just gave it to you, to discover and research sources of revenue. There you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. We have done a little bit of spade work behind this, of course, because you've brought this up before, Tony, and everybody's always thinking in the same line of what else can we do to raise revenues for United. And to that end, Finance Committee is working on this. Steve Hormuth's area is working on this. We also have Jeff Beaumont, our attorney, looking at what our legal alternatives might be. So there's some spade work going on behind the scenes, maybe, that we are, that will come forward, as this committee develops. If you're looking today to get an okay to move forward, is that your?
Yeah, I'd like to
Your hope?
hear what the board says, and if they think it's a good idea and needs to be done, I'll be, move forward. And let me, let's not confuse revenue
Right.
with profit and loss.
No, that's
When you
correct.
have your balance sheet, revenue is at the top. Profit and/or loss is at the bottom. So let's not confuse it. I'm not interested in making profit. I'm interested in revenues to offset our inflationary, which now is going to be next 5 years, between 2.7 and 3% every year, up until 2028, from my reading anyway.
Right.
So it's something we have to pay attention to.
Okay. Nancy?
Yes, we've actually been talking about this for a few months, and revenue has been the operative term. Charter, I somewhat use as, and hold on the term, his sensitivity to that word is, it is a verb, that we're chartering an ad hoc committee. But I do like to see something, even in paragraph form, formalizing it, because that's a bit of our duty to do that if we're going to involve advisors. So it's my recommendation to the board that we at least have a paragraph statement that we're in consensus on. And I do think we need some advisors on this, because it's a little bit of, we're doing blue sky work.
Right.
And that's critical. And one of the aspects of this is not simply for operating expenses. A serious consideration for United is that we need to beef up our reserves. And this is what we've been looking at. I suggested the nonprofit suggestion, which the attorney's already doing, but I would like to see it put together in a statement so that we then have something that we can go out and advertise, whether it's an e-blast or put in the paper, that we're looking for some advisors to come on board and work on this committee. It elevates the importance of it. It tells the residents and the members that we're taking this seriously, and it gives the advisors a sense of purpose and commitment and involvement as colleagues with us. And I think that's an important impression for them to have.
Sue?
I would like to speak in favor of Tony's proposal, and perhaps it could be done under the auspices of the Finance Department. or the Finance Committee. But I do think it's important to members to know that we are looking for revenue sources. This is something that our staff is looking at. But if we could coordinate it and pull it into a central location, it will be easier for people to understand. As Allison said earlier, there are going to be increases coming up, and because of the costs that we've incurred. So this would allow residents to see that we are looking for options to help with our financial issues.
Excuse me, my mic is still on. I apologize.
Maggie?
Yes, I agree. I like the idea. I think our discussion today and the fact that it will be reported places tweaks the minds of the residents out there. And I would like a paragraph or some statement of the mission of this committee. And so I look forward to getting to that from Tony before we actually entertain a motion to form the ad hoc committee. I guess what we want to do today is to ask for next month to be presented with a charter for that committee.
Or mandamus.
Right.
Yeah, mandate. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So,
Georgiana?
Yes, I would like to say I support this as well, because when you look at something like budget or finance, they already have things they're dealing with and stuff like this. But if you can bring together people who aren't on the boards, but who maybe have excellent backgrounds, we've got such a variety of people here, I think it would really help boost things. I think it's a very worthwhile idea.
Okay, Nancy?
Yeah, I actually don't think this has to be tied to the Finance Committee at all. I just think it could be a standalone ad hoc committee that this board subjugates to do this task.
We have a decorator that wants to comment on this item. We have a-
Okay, all right. Dick? Well,
Actually, I lowered my hand, but I want to say that I heartily endorse Anthony's suggestion. I think Georgiana stated it very succinctly. You have a lot of people here who you can ask to come up with thoughts and ideas. There's a lot of business people here, and I won't carry it on any further. It's a great idea, board. Approve it.
okay. Other comments, questions? Tony?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to reiterate the fact that this ad hoc committee, if it's approved by the board, it is to dig up, research, and investigate and present their findings to the full board. Now, maybe the findings won't be very positive, but at least we will have done our fiduciary responsibilities as directors for our residents, and that's my whole push. Thank you.
Ad hoc committees, by their definition, are entitled to staff support and of activities, which means the availability of meeting rooms and of minute taking and reports and so on. So as we go about this, I would ask Siobhan if this is a feasible project for us at this time.
It's feasible based on the fact that Anthony said it was a 90-day initiative. If it were to extend longer than that, it may become problematic.
Okay. Go ahead.
If we pass this, does this go over for the 30-day or 28-day review?
No.
No.
We still need to
So
develop
we
a development
we
scheme.
still need a paragraph. We need a.
Yeah.
So I would move that we ask for a charter paragraph.
We generally require just a mission statement, Maggie, for an ad hoc committee.
Okay,
And if we're
that's
going to
good.
sunset it
That's good.
after 90
Yes.
days, that should be included as well.
Right.
Nancy?
Yeah, I think precisely. We just need a mission statement, and I think we can do that in closed session.
Right. Okay.
All right, Tony?
Well, let's keep it simple.
Yep.
This ad hoc committee the driver for the ad hoc committee is to discover revenue sources and report back to the full board. Do we want to make a 3-page statement, or we just want to keep
No.
it simple and to the point?
Simple and to the point, sounds
There we
good to
go.
me. Thank you. Okay, that's
So-
what you said. Maggie has made a motion. Is there a second to the motion? Georgiana, okay. Any further discussion on this? Do you want to read the motion again? Paul, can you reread?
I believe your motion was just to request a mission statement.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, very good. All those in favor? Okay. Anyone opposed? Okay. Anyone abstaining? Okay. We will go forward. At this point, I would like to, with your permission, pause for a moment. We have a member who has come forward at probably some great effort to be here with us today, and she was not able, apparently, to get here during member comments. So at this time, Paul, do we have a request for our member to speak? All right, and with your permission, I would like to give our member an opportunity to talk to us right now. Is that acceptable to the board? Okay. Please come forward, introduce yourself, and tell us what's on your mind this morning.
She's going to.
My name is Ellen Zucker. I live at 172E, Avenida Mallorca. And as you could see, I have a handicap. I've come before the board years ago because my parking space is way at the other end of the cul-de-sac. I can't walk it. And even with the chair, it's still very difficult. I was granted a spot in the guest parking spot closest to my door. Well, I have a neighbor who doesn't like that, who's very upset and has called me every name you could think of in front of security. Some pretty nasty curse words. And I can't say it was him this time that parked there, but it's continuous parking. The neighbors move my cone. I put a traffic cone there, they move it. And they'll park there. And I really run into trouble. I can't go that distance. I'm coming before the board to ask you, please change that sign that says parking by permit only. I was never granted a permit. I have a letter, but since this year has been very difficult, I had to put my husband in a home. For dementia. I can't find the letter anymore. I need help keeping that space clear so I can park there. And that's what I'm asking. Please change that sign to parking for 172E only. And make security enforce it. I call security all the time. Well, I'm constantly calling security. I'm not getting anywhere. They'll say, well, you don't have a permit either. And they're right, I don't. So, please help. That's all I can say.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very much for coming in and making the effort to bring this to our attention. And we've all heard, and we will take action based on what you've told us.
Can we
Thank
make
you
a
very much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Can we
Ellen.
make a motion on this?
Huh?
No, there's
Okay,
no.
got it.
No, thank you. We
Staff
have
will
the
handle it.
information. Thank you, Ellen. Yeah. Okay. We will resume our normal agenda then. We will go to item 13E, entertain a motion to approve revised United Governing Documents Committee Charter.
All right.
This is all-
Resolutions. Resolution 0124XX Governing Documents Review Committee Charter. Resolved June 11, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby establishes the Governing Documents Review Committee for the purposes of reviewing the United Laguna Woods Mutual governing documents for clarity, legality, and current applicability through monthly meetings open to United members. Resolved further that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby assigns the duties and responsibilities of this committee as follows. 1, review governing documents, including policies, resolution, and operating rules in compliance with applicable laws. 2, consider conformance as required between each governing document with another governing document. 3, confer as appropriate with United Managing Agent. 4, consult as appropriate and upon approval of the board president and committee chair with United Corporate Counsel. And 5, make regular committee progress reports and recommendations to the United Board of Directors regarding proposed revisions to the United governing documents, including policies, resolution, and operating rules. And finally, the new point, create and recommend new regulations which comply with applicable laws to protect the corporation and resident health, safety, and welfare. Resolved further that the Governing Documents Review Committee shall perform such other duties as may be assigned by the Board. Resolved further that Resolution 01-19-105, amended December 10, 2019, is hereby superseded and canceled. I move this resolution.
Second? A second, please? A second? Okay, thank you, Vidya. Okay, discussion. Maggie?
Yes, the only addition is number 6.
Right.
And we have to do that from time to time as the law changes. Then we update our governing documents to meet the law changes. And we're not going to create any new stuff on our own without the board approval anyway, so.
Or a darn good reason for doing it.
Right.
Okay. Anything more? If not, we will go ahead and vote on screen. Okay. All the votes in, Paul?
Okay.
All right.
Unanimous.
Approved. Thank you. Next is the item 13F, a motion to approve 2025 collection and lien enforcement policy. And this would be entering a 28-day review period.
Okay. Resolution 0124X 2025 collection and lien enforcement policy. Whereas in accordance with California Civil Code, United Laguna Woods Mutual maintains a collection and lien enforcement policy that outlines the procedures, policies, and practices employed by the mutual in enforcing lien rights or other legal remedies for default in payment of assessments. And whereas legal counsel has reviewed the existing collection and lien enforcement policy and determined that the policy complies with civil code requirements and reflects current practices for collection of mutual delinquencies. Now, therefore, be it resolved July 9th, 2024, that the Board of Directors hereby adopts the 2025 United Laguna Woods Mutual Collection and Lien Enforcement Policy as attached to the official minutes of this meeting. And resolve further that policy statement is provided pursuant to the requirements of Civil Code Section 5310A7 and will be distributed to members in November 2024 as part of the annual policy statement. Resolve further that Resolution 01-2371 adopted December 12, 23 is hereby superseded and canceled on the effective date of January 1, 2025, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. If passed, this will be set for 28 days from the postponement to comply with Civil Code 4360. I move this resolution.
Is there a second? Okay. Discussion, please? Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, I'm the
We
guilty
don't.
party here. Ugh. Discuss. Ellen, go ahead.
I'd like to know what kind of administrative duties there are when there's a late charge. I think $500 is excessive.
Steve, glad you're here. This is a comprehensive report.
Sure, thank you for the question. So the $500 fee is only applied when it is going through collections. So if someone were to be assessed a late fee, whether it be for assessments or chargeable services, so that, I think your fee at the moment is
$50.
$50. So what we're trying to get at for the $500 is if it were to go to collections, we report on it on a bi-monthly basis. So whenever we're at the Finance Committee, we are also in constant contact with the collection agencies. And there's a lot of paperwork that is provided. We bring it before the board. So there's quite a bit of activity that goes along with it. But this is not just for the late.
Does the collection agency have a fee as well?
Unfortunately, they do as well.
Okay, so we're talking, okay, so the 500 is monthly from the point it goes to collection?
Great question. No, it's a one-time fee.
It's a one-time fee.
Mhm.
And when does it go to collection usually?
Once we bring it before the process is, and just for the general audience as well, is if you have a payment that is due on the first of the month and payment is not received within the grace period of the first 16 days, you get a late fee. If the assessment is not paid by 60 days, you will get another letter, and that one is a little more serious. It's a pre-lien letter. At that point, another month or two will go by, and we bring it before the Finance Committee, and we get a recommendation from the Finance Committee to pursue a lien. Then we bring it before the board. You'll see them occasionally pop up on the consent calendar, a recommendation for a lien. So you're looking at 4 to 5 months. Once the board approves it to go for a lien, that is when the $500 one-time fee gets charged. And then we'll continue to work with the collection agency until the account is brought current.
Okay, other questions? Georgiana?
No, I guess I just felt when I was reading this that when you look at the community, probably the people who are going to be hurt by it the most would be those who can least afford it, because maybe they're having their memory isn't as good as their health. They've got doctor's office appointments. You can forget. And to me, so if you've been retired for 34 years, your nest egg's a little smaller than when you retired. So for me, it's punitive. It's going to hit the weakest in our community.
Other questions, comments?
There is an interrelationship here between, do you take them to small claims court? I mean, because the statutory rate in California is 10%.
So the statutory is 10%, and I believe in the recommendation, I know we just said $50 for a late fee, but the recommendation is to move it up to the 10%, and it will just follow on an annual basis, 10% of the assessments, again, matching the statutory requirement. So from a small claims perspective, there's two paths. So from assessment, so Civil Code requires us to follow a certain path with regards to assessments, and we follow it to the letter. With regards to chargeable services, we have certain methods in place to follow to collect certain dollar amounts. We limit access to some of the general facilities if you don't pay your chargeable services. To answer your question directly, though, on chargeable service, if we exhaust all of those collection efforts from a chargeable service, then we go to small claims court.
Well, I'm having a problem with the administrative fee at that amount, because the 10% is a collection fee.
Mm-hmm.
So we're adding a fee on a fee. Yeah.
That is what the state allows, state law allows. That's
The 500.
statutory. The 10%.
I know that. I know that portion, but I'm saying we're adding $500. We're already getting a fee by virtue of, if you have your credit card, they don't charge you $500 and then 10% or whatever your credit card is. And so I just think the profile of our constituency and the demographic, I'm not comfortable with doing that. I'm comfortable myself with the percent.
If you
If I
want-
may add to that, it
Go
is
ahead.
already $200. So the recommendation as part of this was to raise it from the $200, which hasn't been raised in at
Since
least 6
December
to 10 years.
19th,
Moving from $200 to
2019.
$500.
What's the current rate of interest that they've been charging?
I believe 12% is the interest that is part of civil code.
Please
was the prior.
note the small number of cases here. Very, very few cases. That's right in Steve's analysis, under financial analysis.
Right.
There are average of 4 delinquent accounts for collections per month, and approximately 120 late charges, being that smaller sliding amount. So we're not talking about a huge and overwhelming burden that's going to be placed on a large number of members. This is a small number of cases that eventually graduate to this level where these fees are necessary. This is not a huge revenue raise. It will raise revenues a little bit. It's not enormous. It's not saving a bacon here. So this is for situations that have not been responsive and who have not made a good faith effort to make good on the money that they owe. So this is, who's next, Sue?
I just want to make sure that I understand this. When you said that there are a series of steps before you get to the collection and the lien.
Correct.
So there are many notices that go to the individual to try to work with you or work with VMS in order to stay this or to acknowledge that they can no longer afford to live here or whatever that
Yes,
is.
and we make
Does-
numerous, I apologize. Continue.
Does this also include, do we have to have attorney fees that go into this notice as well? Is that part of?
No, not necessarily. So the fee that's being charged from the collection agency, that is you have 2 paths towards for collections. So non-judicial foreclosure, which is the process that's contained within the collection policy, and then you have judicial foreclosure. That would be the attorney. If the attorney had to get involved, that would be a different path. Yes, those fees would be charged back to the community, but to answer your question directly, no. We're not talking the attorney, we're talking the collection agency.
Ellen, you had something more?
I was in the REO business, and I know what they charge for, to prepare a foreclosure file. So this is basically to prepare a file for collection. Is that right?
So the collection agencies will, at every step of the path, will continue to charge fees. And they will range anywhere between $50 to $250 at each step of the path. So, yes. And then, once again, the recommendation here before you is to go from 200 to 500. That is to offset the additional costs that my team incur to manage that process, working on a regular basis with the collection agency, processing that paperwork, bringing it before the board. And again, there's, at any given moment, there's between a dozen to 2 dozen over the course of a year that get affected by this policy, that get affected by that fee.
I don't think 500 is bad when you're talking about preparing a collection file.
Maggie?
It hasn't been changed since 2015, so it's not commensurate with all the other bills and everything that we have. So because we are collecting, we are trying to collect now what we need, I agree that this should be passed. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Tom?
Yeah, Steve, on this, if people are on auto pay, this doesn't occur as long as there are funds in the account, correct?
Correct.
Do most of the problems occur when they're not on auto pay, or is it?
No, clearly, if you're on auto pay, we'll, based upon the agreement, we will withdraw the funds from your account. So 73% of the residents here within the community pay auto pay. So this is oftentimes people who have, on January 1st, they have, and who are not involved in auto pay, on January 1st, they have not upped their fee for the next month. So going from whether it be the $50, $100, whatever the increase may be. So those people are impacted in January. And then people who missed payments. But it's also important to know that we do apply some discretion, just like if you have an instance with your credit card where you miss a fee and you call up and try to petition to waive the late fee, likewise, we do the same. So if a resident were to call and say, hey, I apologize, I missed a payment, they make the active phone call, we will look at their payment history and go, Mrs. Jones, you've been phenomenal. Don't worry about, we will waive that fee. So that's the late fee aspect of it, right? So we do use it as an encouragement to bring yourself current. If you're a habitual late payer, we may take a different tactic, right? So.
Okay. Anything else? If not, we will go ahead and proceed with vote on screen, please. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. The resolution passes into 28-day review. And now we have our last item in this group, resolution. Entertain a motion to approve temporary borrowing for a property insurance payment. Item 13G.
Resolution 0124XX, temporary borrowing. Whereas pursuant to Civil Code Section 5515, the Board of Directors may authorize a temporary transfer of monies from a reserve fund to an association's operating fund to meet short-term cash flow requirements or other expenses if the Board of Directors has provided notice of the intent to consider the transfer in a board meeting notice provided pursuant to Section 4920. And whereas the notice required pursuant to Section 4920 has been provided in the agenda for this Board of Directors meetings, and whereas the corporation avoided interest and finance charges by prepaying 12 months of property insurance premiums in October 2023 for a coverage period of October 2023 through September 2024, whereas it has become necessary to temporarily transfer monies from the reserve fund to the operating fund to meet cash flow needs due to timing differences in when property insurance premiums are paid versus when they are collected from residents through monthly assessments. And whereas the amount of funds needed to be transferred from the operating reserve fund to the reserve fund has been determined to be $1 million, and the repayment of such funds from the operating fund to the reserve fund is anticipated to be more than provided for by future property insurance premiums received from residents and positive cash flow resulting from the operations. Now, therefore, be it resolved, June 11, 2024, that the transfer of $1 million as a temporary transfer from the reserve fund to the operating fund for the reasons stated herein, and with the plan to repay no later than 1 year from this date, is hereby authorized, and resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move this resolution.
Second. Nikki, thank you. Discussion? Ellen?
On this financial analysis, can we put a column where it says the date it was borrowed? Because we have a balance due date, and we have a repayment and a rolling balance. Is there, because I know we borrowed in increments, so I thought we borrowed 6.4 a couple of months ago. Am I right? Yeah.
Correct. 6.5 million was the requested borrowing back in April. Happy to make any changes that are needed. What's your?
Well, I want to know the dates that you're talking about on the financial analysis, repayment of $2 million in July of 24, August of 24, $1 million. I'd just like to have a column, the date it was borrowed.
Gotcha. So if I can point you up to the background, it says on April 9th, 2024, the United Board of Directors approved a temporary borrowing of 6.5. So that's the origination of the 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
And then here on June 11th, we're asking for the additional 1 million. So that brings you down to the balance due in the financial analysis area where it says 7.5. And then the repayment schedule of July, August, September, and October. If you look to the supporting detail on pages 7 of 14 through 11 of 14, it gives you the actual dates of when we are proposing to make those repayments. All the repayments are highlighted in yellow. There may be plus a day, minus a day. Obviously, these are all estimates. So, but the dates, the origination dates is what you're requesting,
Well,
are already in the report.
Yeah, I'm looking for maybe like a spreadsheet that says, well, we borrowed on this day for 6.4 million. We repaid the 3 million we borrowed in October, because we repaid it this year, correct?
Correct.
Yes. So I just would like to see it in a spreadsheet. I see how you're going to repay all this. I see this, but if I could just see it nice and clear, I would like that. So,
Duly noted. Anyone else? This is the spreadsheet. This is your schedule of repayment. I know you wanted it a different
No,
way, but,
yeah.
you know, this is a proper way of accounting for
Page
how the money
7
is
of
coming
14
back.
through 11 of 14.
Yeah, Sue, you
Yes.
had something?
Yes, I agree with Ellen. I think it makes it clear if it's pulled out. It's just reader ease, and I don't think it's that big of a request, but that's up to this committee. I would like to have someone just explain the cancellation of the prior property insurance, and that we will have a refund of money, and possibly $1 million plus. And will that refund be used to pay back this amount? And that should be like within 90 days, if I understand this correctly.
That is correct. Yep, that's correct. We expect our first payment of $1.1 million from Travelers Insurance. That is the biggest one, and the first one we have applied for. Dan Yost, our insurance risk manager, has assured me that's been applied for, and will come in as soon as it can be leveraged. So that will go into the repayment cycle. So, and then the other ones are much smaller amounts for a total of about 1.6 million that is due total from the old carriers into our coffers. But the big enchilada is that 1.1 million from Travelers.
And if
So-
I can add to that,
Yeah.
for Gibby, is within the schedule on page 7 of 14, you'll see towards the top of the, towards the bottom of the chart, on September 20th, we have accounted for 1.5, the estimate number of receipt from the property insurance refund. So there's a reason for when we are repaying in July, July and August, we're going to be repaying 2 million and 1 million. And then in September, it bumps up to 3.5. That 3.5 is higher than the previous months because we'll have the additional 1.5 coming back from the insurance company.
Okay, good. Nancy?
Yes, unlike when we invoice and we expect something within 30 days, when you are applying to an entity that is not in conventional billing, if their contract, the insurance policy contract doesn't stipulate that the refund comes to you within 30 days, you're at the whim, to some extent, of how they can stretch it out because they want to be earning money on it in their bank. But we emphasized at the last meeting that we wanted him to make action on that right away. So it's a little harder to predict, but we were stressing that we want this money back ASAP.
Yeah, Dan Yost will be with us this afternoon for a report on how that's going. Anything else about this? Ellen?
yes. How much money do we have in the reserves if this million is approved?
So again, turning your eyes back to page 7 of 14, we laid out an estimate. Based upon my review yesterday, I believe we had about $50,000 more in the checking account than what I anticipate here, but we're tracking really, really closely. So to answer your question again directly, today is the 11th. So as of yesterday, we had about $50,000 in the account. I show here as of the 12th that we have 125, and on the 19th, we'd have about 25,000 in the reserve. Excuse me.
So we have how much in total in the reserves?
So in the reserves, you have about $50,000 as of this moment. So, but you will get a transfer later on this month to the tune of about $1.1 million. So that is the $1 million that we're recommending be pulled over. You'll notice again on this schedule that on 6:30 that this calculation, again, it's an estimate, does go into the negative, but I assure you that when it comes to your actual cash balance, that I won't allow that to happen.
You say 50 in the reserves, but we have investments, right?
Thank you. I'm only
Yes.
talking cash. Thank you.
Okay, we're
So
talking.
your reserves, you have another $12 million.
12 million, okay. How much money do we deposit every month into our reserves?
Into your reserves, you get about $1.1 million.
Every month?
Every month.
Right. Okay.
That's what's in the HOAs, the monthly assessment for reserves.
Correct.
So, okay, let's vote if there are no more questions on this. Transfer of funds, temporary borrowing. Oh, excuse me.
Motion passes 10 to 1.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at this point, director's comments. Anything that anybody needs to say at this point? We are doing pretty well on our time. It's 11:46. We have just United Committee reports to do yet. And because we have moved GRF committees into the consent calendar. So at this point, we will do director comments. If you want to take a break before the committee reports, then we'll consider doing that. Or if you'd just like to speed on through, we'll do that as well. So let's start with our director comments, if any.
I mean, just regarding insurance, I mean, we all know that, but one good thing is that we are going to save about $1.1 million, through the changing the policy, and that will really be very helpful. We budgeted $5.4 million for 2024 insurance premium, but because we're saving it, Dan was suggesting that we probably could change the budget for 2024. So in a way, we made up those $1 million difference from the moisture intrusion loss, which we misbudgeted for last year. So it's kind of one of the small relief, but again, the making up the reserve is one of our real concern, and we'll try to work on it. And in addition to the effort of setting up the ad hoc committee to bring some of the new source of the revenue. So we are just working on it, and a little bit of a small relief. That's my comment.
Thank you. Maggie?
No comment. I'd like a quick break.
Okay, in between, okay? Sue? Good. Pearl?
Well, I have two quick comments. First one is, I'm really looking forward to this ad hoc committee and see what ideas they will come up with to increase our revenues. As all of you who watches this meeting through the TV, I know you can feel that our sincerity to try to increase the revenue to meet our demands. So I really like to comment your effort on the Director Liberatore. And the second comment is one of the most serious problem in the senior community is isolation and loneliness. In order to combat this battle, we are, the Laguna Woods Foundation is recognizing and also come up with ask all the club presidents to submit the proposal, how we can come up with different events so we can invite our neighbors and really encourage them to socialize. And there is a reward of $500, and they are going to reward 5 clubs. So I would really like for you to pay attention to that and participate in this wonderful program. Thank you.
Lydia? Tony?
Nothing, thank you, Madam Chair.
Nancy?
Yes, I have 2 items, and I'm going to tailspin on what Pearl said. The ad hoc committee is I'm very pleased to see this move forward. And you don't necessarily have to be a member. You may have people petition for it because we are open to ideas. You can email us ideas. So that's another contributing mechanism. And then the other thing I want to emphasize, and I've been getting a lot of communications with respect to the board positions and people, I want to encourage people who have got business background and architecture or engineering backgrounds, all the professions, to really consider this opportunity. It is a lot of fun. You hear things going on and people can be negative sometimes out in the community, but it really is a learning opportunity. No matter what skill set how high you are in an organization, you will definitely learn from this. And we really need your help. One of the complaints I get is we have serial directors or carousel directors. We ourselves have talked about that. So this is your opportunity to step up to the plate and participate in that. And I really encourage you to do it because you'll be very welcome.
Thank you. Tom, nothing? Ellen?
I think I spoke enough, but I want to, how are we going to build our reserves? This is what we've got to focus on this year, is how to replenish our reserves. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and with that, we will recess for 5 to 7 minutes. Oh, I'm sorry, Georgiana?
I just wanted to, I think we have the resident advisory committee on Thursday at 4 in the Elm Room. And again, if you can come to the town hall, or I don't know if it will be virtual or not, but please try and make it. Thank you.
Okay, now we can recess for 5 to 7.
Okay, great.
Yeah, go Tony. With
All
the
right.
United Committee reports, Treasurer's report. Mickey?
Okay, Madam President, thank you. Board members, let's go by the slides. Okay. Through the reporting period of April 30th, 2024, total revenue for United was $18.43 million compared to expenses of $17.12 million, resulting in net revenue of $1.31 million. Next slide. In finance, we keep a close eye on the operating portion of our financial results. And the operating fund without depreciation shows an operating surplus of $43,000 through the reporting period. This table shows how much of our revenue went into operation, with $8.39 million coming in from assessments and $601,000 coming from non-assessment revenue. And this is compared to operating expenditure of $8.95 million without depreciation. And next slide, the table takes the full income statement and compares those results in budget. We can see the United ended the period better than budget by $1.31 million when combining all funds. Let's go to next slide, number 4. The most significant variances from budget were attributable to the following. Number 1, employee compensation, $706,000. This variable variance resulted primarily from the landscape and maintenance and construction departments due to still open positions. Impacted areas include ground maintenance, irrigation, electrical, plumbing, interior components, and paint. Recruitment is in progress to fill in current open positions, and grounds maintenance contracted shrub bed maintenance to outside vendors for the pruning, weeding cycle as they continue to fill open positions. And second favorable variance is outside services, $463,000. Also resulted primarily from MNC due to the time of work and invoices compared to an even budget spread over 12 months. Impacted programs include roof replacements, such as PVC cool roofing and composition shingle replacement programs, and electrical system replacements, and copper pipe remediation, and roof work is expected to begin mid-year. That's why we are still in favorable. We have not spent much money yet. And work is in progress for the other programs, but began later than anticipated. Additionally, in landscape, tree maintenance ended the period favorable due to the timing of invoices from the vendor. In materials and supplies, $218,000 favorable. This variance primarily from also the maintenance and construction department due to timing of materials purchases, because we did not do much work anyway, so material purchases is still due, and we haven't spent the money yet. Therefore, it is favorable, and impacted areas include interior components and paint. Additionally, the smoke alarm installation program was affected due to the movement of staffing. Due to the change, there is no expense anticipated to be paid out of this job for the rest of the year. Fees and charges to residents, $325,000 unfavorable. And this variance primarily due to the majority of damage restoration backlog cases, approximately 298 out of 314 total cases being completed in 2023. The remaining cases, which is less than 20, some cases were completed in 2024. Let's go to next slide. On this pie chart, we show non-assessment revenues earned to date of $813,000, and revenue is organized by category, starting with our largest revenue generating categories. Fees and charges, 38%, followed by investment income, 25%, and laundry, 10%, lease processing fee, resale processing fees, and so forth. And next slide. On this pie chart, we see the expenses to date of $17.12 million, showing that our largest categories of expenses are for property tax, 28%, and employee compensation, 27%, followed by outside services, insurance, utilities, and so forth. Next slide. Under this chart, we see those same expenses excluding property tax. Let's go to slide number 8. Our fund balances are shown here. The contingency fund balance on April 30, 2024 was $1.24 million. Contributions collected totaled $50,000 with no expenditures to date. The reserve fund balance on April 30, 2024 was $16.50 million. Contributions and investment revenue collected totaled $4.54 million, while expenditures were $3.31 million. Slide number 9, we compare this to historical fund balance for the past 5 years on this chart, which have averaged $18.7 million. We are seeing this chart every month, I believe. Let's go to slide number 10. This slide illustrates a schedule of repayment of temporary borrowing we have already saw earlier when Steve was here from the reserve fund. United continues to keep a close eye on the repayment of borrowing monies to the reserve fund, and based on this schedule, plans to pay the balance in full by October 31, 2024. So those dates are there, and outstanding balance and planned installment, so on. So by October 31, we are planning to pay it in full. Slide 11, number 11, we have a slide here to show resale history from 2024 through 2022 through 2024. Through April 30, 2024, United resale totaled 121, which is 17 resales higher than the prior year for the same period. The average year-to-date resale price for United Mutual Manor was $371,000, which is $44,000 more than the prior year for the same time period, as President Buck mentioned earlier. But this is the report. Our financial committee report is showing further one more chart of resale, monthly resale report. Agenda item number 15A3, page 1 of 2. I think it's including May resale number also, right? The previous report was up to the April 30th, but this resale price, resale report chart shows May of this year, 2024, and we compare to the previous year too. And our number of sales on May, it was last year 32, but this year 31. And total sale volume this year, $13,174,800. But last year was $11,772,000. So an average resale price was gone up this year, $424,994. But last year was $367,897. So if you look at the increase number, percentage changes year to date, number was 18% increase, 11.8% increase, and total volume was 26.5% increase. And average resale price was increased by 13.9%, which is good news, right? Okay, and then the other side of the page, we have a graph on leasing report. 2024 May, total this year, our leasing number 847, and percent leased 13.3%, which is compared to last year. How much is it? 2024. Last year was 12.3% leased, 558 units were leased. So continuously, those numbers are being increased. And I believe that will conclude my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you. Yes, good. Yeah, Nancy, go ahead.
Yeah.
You know, we meet the second Tuesday of the month.
Yes.
How long does it take them to wrap and prepare this report? Because we don't have May. I mean, here
Right.
we're in June,
So
and we're just getting April.
actually, it takes about 15 days to a month, catching up. So last finance report was, April 30. So yeah, we didn't have this report when we met as a finance committee. So we had, so I believe last year, I mean, they met every month, even though finance committee meet every month. We didn't have much more, information, because now our finance committee and board meeting was kind of crossing out each other. So we having a newer information when we meet as a board. So last finance committee meeting, we didn't have a May report at all.
Yeah,
so.
it would be nicer if we had a more current.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we have a way to manage.
Today's only the 11th. The month closed out on May 30th.
Yeah.
They don't get, the statements don't come out for a good
Right,
you see
right.
how long the tail of the
Yeah.
dog can be on these financial reports. Of course, Steve gets them daily, but
Yeah, he has a daily report, so if we need any specific information, I can always check from his office, right?
Okay, Ellen?
I have a question, and I know we've gone over this before, but regarding fill open positions that are, so those are positions that are open that we are paying for? No?
That's why
I'm
we
talking
don't
about
spend money,
union
right.
positions.
That's
No.
why we have a favorable number, because we do not pay until we fill it up.
So they're not paid open positions? No?
Because there's nobody in them, Ellen.
Yeah.
Think
Oh,
about
no,
it.
no, no, I'm
Nobody's
not
working.
saying that. I'm
So-
saying that when we have to employ so many of the union, and I wanted to know if those were, because since they're open positions, are they paid? No.
No, that's nothing to do with.
Sue?
Yes.
I think you need to look at the other side of it, and which is If they're open, oftentimes we have to use contract employees in landscape. So I don't know, maybe they are funded, but the money then goes over to the contracting side. So that would be my guess.
Yeah, I was looking for the word funded.
Tom? Yeah.
Yeah, generally, for 10 open positions, we can hire 9 outside contracted positions. So those open positions are generally filled by temporary help from the outside, but for 10 open, we get about 9 employees.
I've heard the term funded positions, and what does that term mean?
Funded positions means that when the budget was done a previous year and it was approved, that staffing from VMS report pegged the needs to deliver the services desired at a certain number of employees. That's what we funded. That's what we made the budget based on.
Right.
Now, the ability of VMS to hire people for those positions at the specific job specification, pay rate, and so on can be problematic here in southern Orange County, where we don't have a lot of people who are available to work at some of the pay rates that we can offer. So funded means, yes, the budget has been set, but what's actually spent all depends on whether or not a human being is in that job, doing that work, and drawing that pay. Does that help? Yeah.
Sounds like
Okay. All right, moving on then, architectural controls and standards. Tony?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We covered the work that the Architectural Control Standards Committee did in our consent calendar. So you can read that now. Our next meeting is on June 20th, 2024, 9:30 in the boardroom. And it's an open meeting. You're welcome to attend.
Thank you. Okay, Nancy, member hearings?
We have a meeting this Thursday. Of course, these are closed meetings, so there's not really anything I can report. Although, one aspect of it, besides discipline, and there's not that many discipline cases, is where we're recovering money for things we've expended on and fixing alterations and recovering that money.
Are those days getting any shorter?
The last one, we went to 5:15, I think. It was really a long day. It doesn't look bad this week, but.
Okay, docs, Maggie?
Okay, governing documents. Oh, yes, we discussed the election restrictions. The election restriction of the multi-years in a row is still in our resolution, but it is, whether it's enforceable or not, I don't know, but it's still in the resolution. Nobody's removed it. The question is, how hard would it be to put it back in or keep it in or restore it officially, even though it was never officially removed, is the other question. But it's there. It's stated it's in the policy, but I think we'll discuss it again because the state came out with a kind of a thing which kind of indicates that because if they make a change and then reverse it, that we do not have to go through the full process. So we're investigating just having the board vote on it instead, because we certainly don't want to go on with the full process, but it's not a bad policy. Thank you. We meet on Thursday, June 20th.
Okay, landscaping, Sue?
Yes. The CEO went over what is a major thing for operational performance review. And each year, VMS sets aside some money to be able to look at different groups and different divisions. And so this year, it is the landscaping. And we're trying to identify and report areas of inefficiency and ineffectiveness within the department, pinpoint cost savings opportunities, and determine ways to enhance resident services. resident satisfaction. So the person who is in charge of this study came, and he was very complimentary of the division. And he said, you know, it's rare that you have this sort of data that you can delve into. So it's good that we have a person that collects the data, works with Kurt in order to be able to do this. So I'm looking forward to finding this out, if there are ways that we can improve our service. The other thing that is important to us is that we had our budget review for the landscape department, and we are, as the first review includes, we're going to move from 4 shrub bed cleanings to approximately 5.5. This should be great, and we'll do that by possibly contracting out the mowing and trying to shift those dollars and then also add dollars to this area.
Okay, questions? M&C, Pearl?
We had a MMC, last meeting we had on April 24th, and we were supposed to have one in June, but it's rescheduled on July 29th.
Okay, and Resident Advisory, Tony?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Resident Advisory Committee, I was out on the Pacific Ocean during this meeting, so Georgiana took the, so if she wants to give a report on that.
I put my paperwork upstairs, so I don't have a next meeting date.
Okay, well, it's here. The next meeting date is June 13th, 4 p.m. in the Elm Room. That's the report, Madam Chair.
Okay. All right, future agenda items, are things that are out on 28-day public review or items for future board meetings include rescission to Standard 26. We voted on that. Revision to Standard 2034. And then the 2025 collection and lien enforcement policy. And with that, we will recess and reconvene upstairs. Motion?
Well,
Yeah.
Madam President, what time would you like to reconvene?
What time is it? We need about, we'll start again about 10 to 1.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. And we have Jeff coming on Zoom. Yeah.